welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I'm also going to shout out all of you who support me on Patreon with a special thanks to the latest Patreon, which is Philip Simon, so big shout out to you, and also Will Brax, Melby Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Joseph Pizarro, Samson, Maris, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I'm going to hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
I'm so glad I can't ever sneak up on you. So how's everyone?
Good.
I became a grandpa.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. My son had his third son.
How does it go? Children, how does it go in the scripture? Children are like arrows in the hand of the mighty.
And something about the quiver being
The
full.
quiver, yes. His quiver being full. What the heck is a quiver?
That's what holds the arrows.
Okay, see, I learned something.
Yeah, it's so that's number 7.
Congrats once again.
Yeah, but I'm sorry?
Congratulations once again, man.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So, yesterday's show, you there, Nathan?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday's show, we were talking about refraction, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to send up some slides. These are some slides we've gone over, but I'm going to do it again. Just give me a minute and I'll be back.
Okay. Well, isn't this nice?
Sure is.
Did you hear the ear bending you got from Sasha yesterday, Righteous?
Somebody mentioned something in a message, something about Righteous House. And I wasn't interested.
Righteous House. Yeah, you moderated Sasha.
I may have.
I wasn't very pleased.
What's that?
You moderated Sasha, and he wasn't very happy about it, to say the least.
Right, I may have overreacted.
Well, by the same token, we all had, when he was asking us to side with him, we all went very quiet, and then Paul piped up in your defence and was like, "Look, this is such a thankless task, and you did break the rules. You started ad homing somebody." And his excuse was, well, so many other people were doing it. So the analogy came, well, you're the guy on the side of the road getting a ticket going, look at all those people speeding past us.
Right. Yeah, with that, I caught on to that when people try to pin others. My reply is just, that doesn't excuse your behavior. and it's really quite simple.
My conclusion was that we
But
have a
I
very...
did possibly. Sorry.
I was going to say my conclusion was we have a very well moderated server.
Right. I try to kind of keep it like so I don't favor any sides. I kind of try to keep it neutral, and I only just focus on people just behaving towards each other nicely. That's my focus. That way, it's nice and simple, and I don't gotta get dragged in drama or anything like that.
Indeed. But the
Well,
complaint...
it's pretty hard to.
Go on. Sorry, John.
I was about to say it's pretty hard to deal with people with a certain faith in this community because they feel it's okay to, look down their nose at other people.
And by other people, you mean flat earthers, and by they, you mean globers looking down their nose at us.
Yeah.
Yeah, Righteous has a habit of doing that, I must say.
Oh, you're
No,
such
I
an
wasn't-
antagonist.
I'm only kidding.
You're a total
I was
bitch.
saying like in a situation like that, it's hard not to get frustrated on one side when you have people saying obviously absurd things and then acting like they're smart for saying it. It gets frustrating.
I'm ready when you are.
I've got measurements of Earth's circumference already up as your first slide. Is that right?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's go there. So this, one of many typical slides of Eratosthenes and how they thought that everything goes to the center of the Earth, and on this day, the sun's over the well in Cyan and directly overhead. So it's at its zenith position, 90 degrees, casting no shadow. And 500 miles away, you have a shadow off a pole that gives you the degree difference from that point to where the sun is directly overhead at the well in Cyan. And they're on a curved surface here, obviously, because they're pre-assuming there's a globe. So they're saying that the sun is coming in parallel, as you can see there. And that's going to be the topic today again, until the ballers get it. But they have to have the sun come in parallel. Now, remember, Rumpus inadvertently admitted that the sun's rays do not come in parallel. Do you recall that show?
Yeah, it was you that tied him down to it.
Oh, when he went there, I purposely stayed on him till he
I
admitted it,
remember that clear as day.
because it has to come in parallel for it to work on a curved surface if you're going to use the center of the Earth for your vertex. So let me say that again. It must come in parallel, the sun's rays, if you're going to use the angles from the center of the Earth. So it's a central angle. The angle is not from the surface. The angle is from the center of a Earth that's a sphere. But we don't know if it's a sphere. They don't know it's a sphere at this time in this picture. They're just checking it out. And so they're going with other Greek philosophers and before Aristarchus and all those guys. And, the lights are far away and rays are coming in parallel, when we're going to see in a minute there was no way you could ever say visually with your eyes you saw any rays come in parallel. But anyway, let me summarize this slide one more time. So if you live on a ball, it will have a curved surface like this. It will have a central angle, center of the Earth, where the sun's rays must come in parallel for you to get that angle that Eratosthenes here is trying to show. Next slide. It says the effect of astronomical bending is to make a celestial body appear higher in the sky. If the body is at the observer's zenith, there is no refraction. Let me read that again, Rumpus and all you ballers. In your own side, when the body is above your head 90 degrees at your zenith, there is no refraction. But as the zenith distances increase, the refraction also increases. Next slide. In the middle there, underlined. In such a model, their model, one can predict the position of a star to a great deal of accuracy. So it is a useful model. And in this model, there is no refraction at the zenith, as the light doesn't pass at an angle through the medium of varying optical density. So again, in their model, there is no refraction at the zenith position, thus describing it's cyan, having no shadow, because it was directly overhead. Next. So this is from, you can make this bigger if you want. This is from that navigation website, David Birch. Refraction of light as it enters the atmosphere is still one of the largest uncertainties in celestial navigation. When starlight leaves the vacuum of outer space, they're presupposed, of course, and enters the atmosphere, it bends down a small amount depending on how high the star is in the sky. This happens because the light is slowed down in the gas of the atmosphere. Thus, with our sextants, we always measure a star height that is slightly too high. A starlight from stars some 30 degrees above the horizon will bend only some 1 to 2 degrees, if uncorrected, yielding an error of some 1 to 2 nautical miles. But at lower angles, the correction can be twice that or more. At higher angles, it is less, being only half a mile or so at 60 degrees, and basically zero refraction, by the definition for the stars that are directly overhead, as it says there. Next slide. Third, the correction for refraction: as the light from the sun enters the Earth's atmosphere, it is bent downward and has an effect of making the sun seem higher in the sky than it really is. The effect is greatest when the sun is lower on the horizon, because the light has the longest layer of atmosphere to penetrate. There are special correction tables on page 3 of the Nautical Almanac for sites of less than 10 degrees apparent altitude when the refraction is most influential. So when is it the most influential? 10 degrees, some say 15. And as you saw at the 30 and 60, it's like 1 to 2 miles, and directly overhead, no refraction whatsoever. So 10%, 10 degrees apparent altitude when the refraction is most influential. Many navigators don't use low altitude sites because atmospheric conditions can affect the refraction and accuracy of the correction. But in the back of the Nautical Almanac, they have the site reduction, tables and refraction tables and all the different adjustment tables, and you can fix it there anyway. Next, because they're going off their model, right? So now we see what everyone sees with their own eyes. Can anyone honestly look at this picture and say the sun's rays are coming in parallel?
No, obviously not.
However, there is a direct zenith position of the one coming almost straight down, is it not?
I mean, you could identify the center ray, if you will, and call it a zenith, if you like.
If you were directly under it, where that ray is, not where I'm taking this picture from. Let's say, for example, I took this picture.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how the sextant works. You see, let's assume that ray coming straight down is the GP, geographical position, of that sun at that hour, that minute, that second. When you go to your sextant and you cite it, you go to your book, the Nautical Almanac, and it says that sun, GP, is over here right now on their longitude-latitude grid system that they overlaid on the Earth. So that sun, zenith, is over there, and over there is 3,000 miles. So I'm 3,000 miles away from being under the zenith of that sun right there. And that's my angle. Now that circle is drawn. There's a big circle around the zenith here. So, but I don't know where I'm at in the middle of the ocean, 3,000 miles away from the zenith position of that sun. So I take another sighting, and when the two circles cross, I'm at one of the two crossing points. And if I take a third sighting, voila, I know exactly where I'm at. Next slide. Again, another picture of how the sun's rays actually come in. No one's going to say those are parallel. Next picture. Do you see this arrows, and one's going long and the other ones are short with a blue arrow?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay. Well, that's supposed to be the sun, and rays are going in all directions, and then they've got these arrows staggered, and they got the ones to the right far, and they, so the farther the sun is, the circular object, the sun, as you get further, the rays will seem to come in parallel. But if you look at the next slide, they show a sun and three possible Earth locations to that sun. That is all from their slides. All right, flat earthers don't make these slides. So it's like, all right, well, based on the actual pictures of divergent rays coming through the clouds and what I experience here on Earth, where would I put the Earth in relationship to the sun? Would I put it to the far left where it's almost parallel, but not really? And you see the middle of the sun going through the middle of the Earth in that one ray? Or should I put it in the middle? Or does it look like the first one, the one that's closest where I'm getting divergent rays? Which one do you think?
None. It's an orthographic representation.
You're too smart. All right. But even in this, the further you get out suits their model. The closer you get in suits the actual divergent rays we see based on this orthographic view. Next slide. Like this picture. That could only be closer to the light source, not further away by millions and millions of miles to where those divergent rays, one of them, at the most maybe two, but probably one of them hitting the Earth by the distance. So it would seem like it's one beam of light hitting the Earth. Next slide. So here we are, nearby light source, curved surface of a presupposed Earth, three different locations. But they don't show this light source coming in parallel because they're showing this example with a nearby light source. Well, they're coming at funny angles. They're divergent. So what if you make the surface of the Earth a plane? What if that surface of the Earth is not curved? Would there be shadows on location 2 and 3? Of course there would. Would there be zero or almost no shadow directly overhead, the zenith? Of course. So what they experience on the flat Earth, they convert to a sphere, but light has to come in parallel, and it must go to the center of a presupposed Earth for the angle, because you can't get an angle off a curved surface. So the sextant proves that you cannot take the measurement from the curved surface, and since no captain or navigator is taking the measurement from the center of the Earth, then how are you getting a correct measurement with your sextant? The Earth must be a plane, light must be coming at divergent rays so that you can know the zenith position and how far you are from that star or sun. Next slide. In this one, Eratosthenes considered the light rays from the sun as parallel to each other because he read Aristarchus's on the sizes and distances, and therefore knew that the distance between the Earth and the sun is much greater than the size of the Earth. Aristarchus's deduction was based on observations of a shadow cast by the Earth during a lunar eclipse. They assumed that. Why does the sun, being very far away, justify taking its light rays as parallel? Question mark, which Rumpus denies, by the way. Thank you, Rumpus. The following diagram might help to explain it. Still, look what they're doing here. They have the sun far away on the far right, A and B, and it's hitting Earth. But do you see the mistake they make here? It's convergent rays. It's nonsense. This whole drawing is off. And then they got in the dotted line. What if the sun was closer? The A and B that's closer to the Earth is a second supposed position of the sun. Well, if the sun was closer, and what's the rays looking like? Convergent. This is not even their model. Their model has to have the sun emitting light in all directions. And by the time it hits Earth, it's parallel. In this orthographic view, they have convergent rays on both examples. They don't even get their own story right. Next picture. Parallel beam, divergent beam, and convergent beam. Based on the pictures, based on the videos, based on your own experience, sunlight is coming in divergent, which means we're much closer to this light source than 93 million miles away, where they say light is like one beam or very parallel. So it's the end of the globe. They can't even get their sun right. Year to Sextant, 2021.
Can I ask one thing, Tent? Can I ask you a fast question?
Wow, that was fast.
Good presentation.
So where is Rumpus and all these ballers when you're presenting this? Is there anybody in Discord that's a ball believer that has a rebuttal to this? Because it seems like it's black and white to me.
Well, it is, and I'm using their material, and they've got light coming convergent when it should be parallel, and we see light divergent because that's what we see, and it's a mess. And the sextant can't work off a curved surface, no matter what anyway. Can't get an angle. It's over. Well, that killed the show.
It was a strategically left pause because it was being thrown open to Discord by Neil. So I thought before I commend you and say great presentation again. No, good presentation. They're only bending it into non. Which was it at the end? It was convergent at the end because they're assuming the R value. They've got it completely backwards. But I'm just repeating what you said.
Well, it's not anything hard. Any child could understand this. And I mean, this presentation was not difficult for me to do because you just read up on it, and you can see how they're changing their story. And so for them, I mean, look, the Black Swan killed it. There's no geometric horizon. There's no curvature to the Earth. Not at 1 foot high, not at 30,000 feet high. There just isn't. The Earth is not spinning, turning, wobbling. There's no Earth-based Coriolis. You can't have gas pressure next to the vacuum of space because we'd all be dead. Those are such great arguments. But then when you go and say, wait a minute, we've got an instrument for navigation called the sextant. It's been working for hundreds of years. No one even denies its accuracy. How does that work? And it involves the surface of whatever you're on. It involves light. And it involves a book called a Nautical Almanac and other books that are aids, like site reduction tables and all this stuff. Now, it gets so convoluted because they have to take something as simple as a flat plane, that's your baseline zero, and a light directly above you, that's your 90-degree zenith, and you form a right angle, a perpendicular. There's your right angle right there, basically. And if you have a luminary somewhere in between there, it's going to be at 30 degrees or 50 degrees. And so you could do your trigonometry and all that kind of stuff, which I'm not good at. But it tells you how far you are away from that star or that sun. And then you figure out what you got to do to get there. That's been working for hundreds of years. Now, that cannot work off of a curved surface, period.
Well, I think even more than that, even with the assumption of a sphere, they're using the sextant with a geometric horizon in their assumption. So whenever the ballers say refracted horizon, they're saying, well, sextants wouldn't work. Theodolites wouldn't work. It's just insane.
Good point. It can only work if you can create a corner to get an angle.
Or to put it another way, it can only work if Earth is flat.
Yes, because you need a tangent line, that's straight, and another straight line meeting it.
Yeah, as much as we're told that it's interesting, or we were told a few years ago that it was interesting to study flat earthers, what a strange phenomena to think the world is flat. To me, it's far more interesting now to see the trench level fundies and how they react to their arguments being demolished on a daily basis. You know, I'm not saying this out of sarcastic, intent to provoke the audience, but it must be very painful for them cognitively. Hey, Adam.
Yeah, it's like your team lost the biggest soccer match of the year, say the World Cup, or in America, the Super Bowl, and they totally got whooped, like 56-0. And your buddy who loves the team that won is sticking in your face every time he sees you. He wears the jersey of the winning team, keeps reminding you of the great loss. I mean, this is a baller's predicament.
Yeah, we are a thorn in their side. Hey, Adam.
Afternoon, guys.
Hey, Adam.
It's worth
Sports desk. Okay.
Again, John?
I was going to say it's worse than that because now they're at a point where they don't even know if they exist anymore. Like, it's bad. It's just like an existential nightmare.
You mean the brain in the jar?
Well, no, they don't even know that.
Well, that is the last chance saloon of the Globe Defender, isn't it? You're just a brain in a jar. We don't.
Yeah,
even
like
know.
Grumpus when he said they were all in the Matrix. Then they
That was his
can't handle
original-
the fact that their reality is not reality. So then, we're in the Matrix then, or when nobody's around. We're all just brains in jars. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Before I'd formulated his convoluted doublespeak rebuttal of refraction, that was his initial response to the Black Swan. Well, we live in the Matrix because it is the last hurrah of any Globe Defender when you can't overcome any argument. Well, you don't know that you're not a brain in a jar. You wouldn't know any different if we were in a simulation. We're in the Matrix. That's the most pathetic last chance saloon there is, but that's their last hurrah.
Well, I never heard anybody whose favorite team lost say, well, no, they didn't actually lose. We're just living in a simulation where they did.
Yeah, but I could easily spin that into, no, in this particular universe that we exist in, they lost, but in the infinite number thereof parallel universes that exist, they clearly beat the other team hands down.
Oh, those universes that they can't prove exist. Yeah, it's rough. A rough place to live.
It's not interesting that the word universe is in the word university.
Indeed.
Yeah, so next time Rumpus comes on, let's pin him down on Lite coming in parallel. He'll be destroyed. Not that he isn't already, but
The moment it happens, they just descend into fundy muting. Send the Discord server into chaos is the sort of only tactic that they've got with those stages in the discussion.
indeed.
Well, that they have to repeat a double speak, Nathan.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
most of us here are pretty
It is
adept at-
parallel. It's not parallel. It is. It's not.
Well, once we've caught that and pointed it out, I mean.
Yeah, then your format will be criticised.
Oh, right, and then the format's criticised. You call this a debate show?
Yeah.
Well, if you can't prove, like, I think this is what gets me is if you can't prove anything to be true, and that's where they're at right now, and they say that science doesn't prove anything and only disproves, how did you prove that?
Yeah, it's a contradiction in terms. Makes absolutely no sense.
No, it doesn't. It's madness.
That's what I mean. When I said earlier, it is painful to have that sort of cognition. You know, that is going to be mentally painful, and that's why our opponents suffer. None of us suffer that. Got time for a quick story? Back in the day, a guy who had sort of come to this subject at the same time or similar time to me got in touch with me, and I typically don't answer incoming calls from things like Facebook Messenger or whatever. But on this particular occasion, I did. I answered the call, and the guy was all shocked and shaken that I'd even replied. I'm like, well, why did you phone if you didn't expect me to answer? Anyway, he just gave me his story, and the guy was suffering with depression, popping pills to get to sleep, etc. And it wasn't even a metaphor. He literally, while he was on, it was video chat, while he was on the call with me, threw the pills over his shoulder. Now, they were there, but he was saying, I don't need these anymore. I haven't taken any. I feel a relief for not being in the nihilistic world of heliocentrism. It's a load off. And I've heard that. That's just one example. I've heard loads of people say the same thing. It's a release. It's a relief. It's far less stress inducing than heliocentric belief. Now, to counterbalance that, we're ridiculed. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while we are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below the video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by the Adam Meakin, 10th Man, Neil, father of a stolen child, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Good morning. Nottingham.
Nottingham?
Good
Hello.
afternoon.
Well,
Hey,
good afternoon,
morning.
Nottingham, I should
Yeah.
say.
Good morning, USA.
There we go.
Good morning, Nottingham correspondent, for some reason. How you doing, Adam? Good to have you for the housekeeping. Any evidence of a physical, geometric, sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Well, we'll go with not in Nottingham.
Oui,
Well said.
We?
yeah.
Oh, tell us all about it.
I don't know if you heard of rhombus.
Yeah.
He tell me a curved tangent. You refract horizon, so it's physical.
It's refracted, it's not a tangent.
But it's a curved tangent.
That's an oxymoron. There's no such thing as a curved tangent.
Oh,
Oh. Well, thank you. Oh, he's gone on mute. That was clearly it. Well, it was comedic, if nothing else. Thank you very much. Any more on the former Earth curve edge horizon?
High priest is reaching out to everybody, explaining how a tangent don't have to be straight; it can be curved. Wow.
I mean, we knew that. They'd told us in the past that straight lines were curved. We just didn't know it'd get to the point where literally something that cannot be defined as anything other than straight, that would be a tangent, is curved. But that's what they're telling us. That's how mentally painfully it must be to be a baller right now. Hey, Arwin, and hey, Paul.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Yeah,
Wait
yeah.
for Paul
Okay,
Taylor as
okay.
well.
You're good.
So, did I hear right then? He's out there pumping his own form of Rumpclidian geometry. Now then.
Donkey dick geometry, I think you'll find.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Rumpus is a regular mathematician. Did you hear him last night on Brandon's? He was like really in math mode. He was so proud. And it was kind of beautiful in its own delusional little way. I was like, wow, man, he does have like a peak skill in that, you know? Too bad it's just also a lot of bullshit.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
oui.
Yes, it
Oui.
is things deviating due to Coriolis drift, and at the
See, now
same
that's
time,
my-
other things moving in lockstep.
That's my
Simultaneously.
problem. Why would you give Rumpus a freaking platform?
Hang on. Let's hear
We
this
have
other
another
guy.
we. Go ahead, my friend.
I don't know. You had a hurricane?
You have to repeat
Hurricane.
that. Say that again.
Hurricane is spin opposite in hemisphere.
Hurricane. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Right.
But isn't that an actual deviation and not an apparent one?
Took the words out of my mouth.
This guy sounds like Flatfoot in disguise.
Arwin's got the question in. The correct response came from Arwin. Did you hear what Arwin said?
I don't understand.
Arwin, do you want
Well-
to repeat your question, please?
You say Coriolis effect is spotted in hurricanes. What in one part of the Earth it spins in one direction, the other part the other. But isn't a hurricane an actual deviation? There's something actually moving, right? Not apparently.
Oui. The wind it turn one side on north hemisphere and turn other side other hemisphere.
Okay. But do you know what the Coriolis effect is? Because
We with spin the bullet deflect.
Wrong.
what? No.
That's
No, it's
incorrect.
just an apparent deviation. It's not an actual deviation. It seems to deviate because another thing is actually deviating, namely the thing spinning underneath. Right?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Epic.
This
So
is too funny. It sounds like Flatzoid in disguise.
It's okay, just for summary sake. So the claim that hurricanes have a different actual spin direction in the north versus the south, begging the question hemisphere, is an assertion of actual spin directions, whereas Coriolis is a not actual deviation observed as you turn beneath things. So it's things in the inertial reference frame seeming to drift because you turn beneath them on, say, a roundabout. But that's a not actual deflection. Hurricanes have actual spin directions. So it's not an
Just,
effect claimed to be Coriolis. Thank you, Arwin. Thank you. What's your name? Sorry. Professor something?
Professor Poisson.
Thank you, Professor.
Yeah,
Poisson.
poisson. Fish. Fish.
Fish? Fish?
Yeah,
Poisson, yeah,
fish in French.
Yeah, yeah,
Poisson.
yeah. I know what poisson is. Thank you.
I didn't know it weren't Spanish, Nath, you see, so.
Hey,
I did
poisson.
French when I was
What is
12.
it in Spanish?
I've done French lessons when I was a kid. Anyway, let's move on. My rudimentary understanding of French is definitely not the subject matter. We will move on because Professor Poisson may have some more answers to our housekeeping questions. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Oui. Poisson.
You have to pause for the giggles, I'm afraid, Professor Poisson.
Fish in Spanish is pez.
Thank
Thanks,
God.
Darwin.
Pescado.
The poisson, he feel gravity, and if no gravity, fish fly.
If no gravity, fish fly.
Oui. I have citation.
What's gravity?
Cool. Well, did you know there are flying fish actually named flying fish?
That's fascinating. I understand what he's driving at, though, and we all know what he's driving about in a very humorous way. Very succinct also, so I do appreciate it. Let's try and keep it that way, though. Okay, yeah, I get what you're driving at. You're saying if there wasn't gravity, fish would be flying around and floating around in the air. What is gravity?
It's the force it pull to Earth.
No, that's wrong. Sorry. That's 106 years out of date. Gravity is not a force.
Newton. He say a mass attract mass.
Okay, I just said that's 106 years out of date, but if we're going to do this anyway, that's fine. I don't mind. So, does, say, for the sake of argument, a steam particle or molecule have mass?
A buoyancy.
It has mass. And is it attracting other particles of mass or being attracted to the mass of Earth? Steam.
Pass.
No, the answer is no. So mass does not attract mass. I can debunk that with steam. And it's 106 years out of date. So the 106 year out of date mass attracting mass debunked by steam gravity has been replaced by Einsteinian bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space, which is definitely not mass attracting mass and definitely not a force. Okay, would you like some quotes?
Right.
Can
I add on top
a
of
post
that?
citation?
Yeah, sure. George Musa, quote, "Gravity is not a force," end quote. Later, when challenged by, let's just call it what it is, an idiot, about it being a force, he interrupted the challenge to try and claim it was a force with the following quote, "Literally, it's not a force," end quote, George Musa. If you prefer, Brian Cox. "There isn't really a force of gravity at all," end quote, Professor Brian Cox. I could go on and on and on. It's 106 years out of date, replaced by Einsteinian bending of pseudo-Riemannian force space. Not a force.
Okay, I post citation in live stream chat.
For what?
Fish gravity.
We just covered that. I asked you what gravity was, and you said it was a force that's holding the fish down. And then I asked you to clarify what gravity was. You said it was Newtonian gravity. I pointed out it's 106 years out of date. You then insisted that mass attracts mass in Newtonian gravity. So then I asked you if mass of steam attracts mass of steam or mass of Earth. Answer, no. Then we moved on to the replacement, which is Einsteinian gravity, which is not a force. And then I gave you several citations, but you still want to go back to your fish flying? No.
Nathan, just could I just ask Professor Poisson a question? I think his name's very clever. Professor, êtes-vous un poisson globe?
No.
Is that not a pufferfish?
Yeah, oui.
The point being, Nathan, in literal translation, pufferfish is poisson globe in French. I just thought kudos. Quite clever.
Cool.
I'd like to insert a point here about Newtonian gravity.
Why?
Because he never claimed the hypothesis, so it was never actually replaced. There was nothing ever to replace. Newtonian gravity was only a part of his motion mechanisms legacy. It's a part of his laws, right?
That's
but
a
it
good
was
point.
never really physics, and he disclaimed that in a letter very, very firmly. Like, I don't claim a hypothesis for this. This is not physics.
No,
It's
you
just
bang
my
on. You're
thing.
spot on. You're spot on. I did ask, and I've just forgot myself what the question is. I've asked it so many times. It's almost become benign. It isn't. It's very pertinent. But no, we were asking for scientific evidence. Flying fish isn't that. Moving on.
Yeah. Flying
Anything?
fish, actually, what keeps them out of the water is momentum, because they have solids, and solids are subjectable to momentum. That's why they fly. They launch themselves out of the water with great force, with great speed, and then the momentum makes them go through the air for a period of time. Never forever, though.
And they remain neutral in water. And if they die, they float to the top, right? In other words, fish is a very bad example if you're going to assert a downward vector 9.8 meters per second squared. Well, fish don't really prove that when they're neutrally buoyant, depending on their swim bladders, I think. God, this is a long time since I've looked at fish. But they're just sort of hanging around at whatever height they're at. And I say height, they're not even giving it a second thought, right?
It's tough because fish, unlike mammals, don't breathe. They filter the oxygen out of the water, so they don't really have a changing average density as much. But if fish aren't eaten when they die, usually they just get snatched pretty quickly. But if they start rotting, then the rotting process will actually cause their average density to lower, which is what makes them float to the top. But as long as that process isn't happening, they're probably just going to float exactly where they are.
Know far too much about fish. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
The observational science.
Hypothesis, please.
Constellation of Pisces?
No, viable hypotheses. I'm going to start paying attention to my own questions before they get answered in a vague way that isn't actually the answer to the question. Is there any single viable hypothesis from any of those fields?
Just brought it back to fish again.
Einstein, with I don't know, you remember Eddington?
Feel free to fill us in on the hypothesis.
He hypothesized the light will bend when the block, and later Eddington observed phenomena.
Sorry, what was the phenomena?
Light bend.
Phenomena is refraction.
Oui.
Okay.
I think the phenomena there was going to Africa with equipment that couldn't observe the phenomena and then claiming you observed it.
That's okay. What? So you're saying the dependent variable was refraction? Which field was this? Astronomy, cosmology, astrophysics? Which one was it?
Astronomy.
What?
Astronomy. And what was the independent variable in the hypothesis?
Light.
Light causes refraction. Profound. Refraction is light deviating from straight. Obviously, one of the constituent parts is that you've got light, so claiming that as the cause is utterly profound.
So we validated
You're saying light is the cause of light deviating from straight. What if you've got light that isn't deviating from straight? You've still got the independent variable of light and it's not deviating. So if you're saying light causes light to deviate from straight, what about when it doesn't? This is nonsense.
No light, no refraction.
Yeah, I said profound.
Right.
Is
Like
that
no
it?
gradient if no gas pressure. Yeah, that's cool.
Is that it?
Oh, okay.
So was this hypothesis actualized? If light, then light deviating from straight?
Not sure anymore.
I heard a rebuttal to this in a way.
What's it proving? I'm yet to find out what this proves. That we have refraction. Again, profound. Yeah, we know light deviates from straight. It can refract. Okay. How's this useful to the nature of our reality? In terms of astrophysicists' claims? I'm not really following what this proves. Maybe you can fill us in. Okie dokie then. Oh, sorry, my bad.
So I thought we finished.
Wonderful, say, huh?
Okay.
What?
I just asked him a question.
The purpose of the question is because these fields assert that we are in a heliocentric world with a sky vacuum and lights with their astronomical distances as assigned in that model. That's the purpose of the question. Now, that isn't obvious when I ask the question, is there a valid hypothesis? But boshing together light causes light to deviate is, number one, not true. Light doesn't always deviate from straight.
I was told that in those fields they can only establish laws, that they don't perform hypotheses as rebuttals.
Okay. Yeah, they make up laws about what's going on in the sky. Totally unverifiable.
Didn't mean to randomly speak French here. I just asked him in French if he was really a French person, and he hasn't replied, so we'll see how we go.
That's okay, though. It's good fun. It's all in the...
That's why I asked him whether he's...
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the blowfish. Yeah,
yeah, he didn't
good.
know what Poisson Globe was either, did he?
I've got to say, guys, it's good to be back. I've missed you all, so I hope you're all well.
Good to have you.
I could tell you that, bro.
Any
Welcome back.
evidence
Thank
of
you.
a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Are we all just waiting for a little wee?
Oui.
Of all the ones, I doubt I'll get an answer from him in this regard. It'll be
Oui,
this.
papa.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
93 million miles.
And your evidence of that?
Triangulation. Aristophanes. Shadow.
Needs R. We've debunked R. Any more? Distance to the sun? Evidence? Beyond assuming an R value? Who is credit?
Transit of
Venus?
Venus.
Here we go. Say again.
Transit of Venus.
So the application of Kepler's third law when observing the transit of Venus assumes you have a Venus that's in a heliocentric model based on an R that's assumed for Earth. So didn't I just cover this? Okay, let's move on. Any evidence of the R value?
No.
No.
I guess not.
But every claim in regards to heliocentrism is dependent on that R value being assumed. So without the R value, there is no heliocentric model.
We do not assume R is measured.
Excellent. Where'd you get the measurement of R from?
Oh my god.
No, it's okay.
Al-Biruni, he stand on a mountain. He draw a curved tangent.
I was. You
This
beat me
guy's
to it, Nathan.
definitely
I
on
was
our
just
side, isn't he?
Kissing myself laughing.
he's-
on mute.
He's feeding me too nicely. You know, I suspect he's on our side.
Damn, you guys
so
call me
good.
out. You know how difficult it is to flip and I can't even speak French properly. I just had
It's
to do
Black Swan.
Flat Floyd.
Je m'appelle
Funny-
Michel.
Who
No,
guessed
it's
right?
flat side.
Someone guessed it. So who guessed it? Someone guessed.
Was it-
10,
was it
10.
Neil?
I'm telling him to keep quiet.
10th man had it right away.
Sam.
10th man had it, and I heard it.
Yeah, but
I just
also
wanted
said
to
in
get to-
French. Why are you trying to be a
I
fake
just wanted to
French
get to
person?
gas pressure.
Oh right. Oh, I ruined.
But it's
I
too
thought
late
that was
now.
I thought that was the apex of it. I thought that was the top, the high water
But
mark.
that's how. But that's why I wanted you to actually open a citation on fish and
Okay.
gravity. But I couldn't get you to it.
Oh, what was that? You French? Flatzoid being French.
Yeah, oui.
Was it? Really? Oh,
Absolutely.
Comment ça
I just
va?
had
J'ai pas
the whole day I've been
français
waiting for
petit.
this, and it was thanks to Rumpus last night in Jose it's telling me tangents are curved. Just because of that.
Well, I still see it as the high water mark.
Please say that I can't speak French.
Yeah, je ne sais pas parler français.
Yeah, je ne parle pas français.
je
And then
m'appelle,
they never
oh,
believe me. Surprise, surprise.
If you hadn't have said, I go up a high mountain, I draw a curved tangent, you'd have got away with the blag for a bit longer to reach gas pressure without a container.
I gotta
couldn't help
say, you
myself.
did really, really well.
You did
I was
really well.
confused
I'm
at the
gonna-
beginning, but I was
And
like,
by
nah,
the
I'm gonna
way-
ask this guy in French.
By the
if
way,
he's
these
really
are
French.
actual arguments I've had from Glovis.
Yeah,
That's why I brought
that's
them
what I
up.
was saying. You're feeding me too well with too concise a version of the argument with a very quick concession when it actually reaches the end of the argument, and then we move on with total silence. It was too good to be true.
Yeah, but I wanted
Brilliant.
pressure
But
gradients.
Good
and
job
it's just
before
not
that,
coming.
because he did kind of like take time to translate. It's typically a difficulty a lot of French people have.
Don't be racist. There's no need for just unnecessary racism to get thrown in there, right? Shout out to Helio Pabon, who says, shout out to Flatzoid, great job. But we will get to the housekeeping question that Flatzoid's been trying to get to the entire time he was role-playing as whatever it is, Poisson, or Professor Poisson. Any evidence that we can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Oui. If a blue, he bring a pipe through a butane with other container and no container.
Okay.
You're not talking about a crack pipe, I hope.
No, it's talking about a pipe running up the side of Blue Marble Science house.
I remember that one, yeah. With the gas coming out the top. Yeah, that
Yeah,
wasn't
very-
a closed. There was a container, yeah.
So that's gas pressure without a
Uh,
container by way of two containers then.
You can make a vacuum chamber and pressure gradient. No chamber.
What chamber? What the hell are we doing today?
Oh man, this is a really good cameo. You got to keep doing it. It's funny.
I wonder if the
You have
French
no
dollar
idea.
trend is
You have no
like
idea
that.
how difficult it was to talk this whole time. I was laughing my ass off.
It was great. I think that concludes the housekeeping though. I think that's it.
I'm surprised you didn't include like a baguette or something. Like you said, the Earth is like a baguette or a croissant.
I
fine line.
actually wanted to bring baguette into scientific evidence. Without the egg, you can't bake a croissant.
Egg, I love it. You got them all lined up. You got most of them in. Excellent. Yeah, that concludes the housekeeping. Thank you very much, Flatsword. That was well worth it.
Glad you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
I'm glad you didn't know rumpusing in French.
Same.
Rumpus?
Le rumpus.
Les rumpus.
Rampu?
Je m'appelle la Rumbus, hein?
Rampu.
Speaking of rumpus, I edited out his little visit yesterday from the live show and edited it down to about 15 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. So I'll release that later on today, maybe just before the Uncut and After show goes out on the second channel. So what I've started to do is stick out a video at, I don't know, 7:45. In this case, it'll go out, sorry, 9:45 UK time, PM. Start that again. 20:45, 15 minutes before the Uncut and After show go out on the second channel is when I tend to stick them out on the main channel, and then I'll send a link to the people who are in the whatever it's called premiering stream saying head over to the Uncut and After show for this clip. So in other words, it's like a precursor to the actual show. There we go. That'll come out later on tonight. Shout out to Chris Berry. Says Rumpus' favourite show is Rin Tin Chin. K9 Cop. Thank you very much, Chris Berry. Been a fun day.
I've got to say, coming back and seeing that meme of you with the rumpus is hilarious. I loved it. I came back and I saw it. I was like, that is classic. So good.
People just send them me. I don't make them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the most recent one I got was actually from a hater video. So someone had gone to the extent of putting me on what's the name of the character in Lord of the Rings that's like
the
decrepit?
Gollum one. That's
Gollum.
Brilliant, Nathan.
Gollum.
How much effort have they done?
I've got to see this.
Well, I loved it. I was like, oh man, someone's going to go to that much effort.
Dude, they totally miscast Smeagol. You should have been the original Smeagol.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I saw it and I was like, oh, I love that. That's great. I'll screen cap a few of the good angles because it was literally an animated video with my face as that guy or whatever he is, that creature.
Well, you are the most hated flat earthers, not?
It's a newer deepfake technology, and if you use it, it works really creepily well.
Yeah, cool. What did you say, Flatsword? Sorry.
I say, aren't you the most hated flat earth or something?
I don't know.
Or is it the worst? Or is it the worst? Something like that.
I think it was worst flat earther, something like that. Anthony was telling me. I don't know.
Really? When did this statistic come out?
You'd have to ask Anthony. I don't know. He informs me of this stuff. Like I care.
Riley.
Riley will be jealous because he didn't get it. That's why.
That's probably true. He's informing me because he cares about this stuff. He wants to be the most loathed, most infamous flat earther.
Flatzoid. Riley's texted me. He said, ask him something in French to see if he can answer without delay. Riley was dodgy on you.
That's why I said in French, I said, can you please stop being a fake French person? And then didn't reply until after I said to you, I just asked him if he could say that in French. And then he replied. I was like, he's fake.
Nice. Yeah. I didn't know though that a pufferfish is continue with it though. It was just a nice picture.
I thought that was brilliant. I thought you were a genius there. I thought you was a clever baller there. That's why I asked it you in French just to see, and you said no.
I mean, the fact that he managed to hide. The fact he managed to hide such a strong accent is just beyond me. I mean, if there's any other Indians out there that can do the same, then you're welcome to try.
That's hilarious.
Well, I almost did Japanese, but yeah, then I would have talked about sushi and not fish.
You know what sucks is that I should speak French fluently, but I don't because I'm Haitian. so I grew up with it in the house. So I can understand it, but I can't speak it fluently like that. Because my parents would speak to me, or my grandparents would speak to me in French, and then I would respond in English because they understood, like a weird thing. So
That's pretty cool. So your mind was like automatically translating straight away, and you were playing in English. That's pretty good.
My family wouldn't teach Italian because when they first came over, there used to be signs, no dogs or Italians allowed. So they kind of
What?
strayed away from it. Yeah, it's in Brooklyn, and my uncle had to change his name just to get a prize fight from Paul DeChico to Paul Dixon, just to get a fight. We're talking back in the 30s and 40s.
Speaking of foreign countries, what about flat Earth in terms of its prevalence or lack thereof, whichever may be true, in places that are non-English speaking? Other than, I think it was 2018, I'm going to say, with Belu, that was from South America, and we got to see, although most of it was in English also, the documentary had been translated, I think. But, I mean, obviously we're in British YouTube land, or English-speaking YouTube land, I should say. So
No, there's flat Earth scenes all over the place.
I
France,
think you'll be
Italy,
surprised.
even Indonesia, and like places that we rarely even consider. So yeah, there's flat earthers all over the place. There's just not a lot of things that really get forwarded to some kind of mainstream level that they would catch our attention.
Well,
But
I mean, Indonesia
well, if
is
you
a place
guys,
I've been to Indonesia. Why would you say Indonesia is somewhere we wouldn't even consider? I've been there.
well,
okay,
Nathan,
well, just
in
because
Brazil,
that
there's
happened
11
to come
million
up
flat earthers.
like a week ago,
Hold on, I've got two of you
somebody from
talking.
there.
Go on, Flatside.
I'm saying, well, in where was it now? Brazil, where they're just Portuguese speaking, is actually just, they said 11 million flat earthers already.
How do they know that?
It was in the news, actually, media.
Oh, right, it must be true then.
How dare they not lie?
Okay, so a reported statistic of millions of flat earthers in Brazil. Okay, I did hear something reported from Mark Sargent about precisely that with a football team or something similar.
Oh yeah, Flat FC or something.
Yeah, flat
That's
earth.
That's the one in Spain. That was a Spanish football.
Oh, was that Spanish? Okay, maybe not then. But like I say, there's no way of the cross pollination's never going to happen. Not just because of the language barrier, because the media barrier. You know, what do you get?
Well, not just that. It's just that for every other language and group of flat earthers they also have their own rumpuses, their own dollar fanatics that really get in their way too. And that's also part of the reason why a lot of people don't really like to put it all out there. You know, they like to kind of keep it private, keep their own little streams, their own groups. Because then you don't get all the rumpuses and all the baller trenchers rolling all over you and making shitty videos about you all the time.
Or get you fired.
Are you saying that if you were a South American flat earther, for the sake of argument, you'd have not only a South American equivalent of the rumpus, but you'd also have all of the standard fare Joe Coffee and Betty Breadmaker making rebuttal videos that are below the belt by any other standard because they're flat earthers? It doesn't matter that they're in a different part of the world. The rhetoric could be the same. Therefore, they'd suffer the exact same stuff that we do. Is that what you're saying? Yes, Nathan.
Well, in Germany, they got
Déjà
flat earth games.
Déjà de interrumpir. Déjà de interrumpir. Déjà de interrumpir. Déjà de interrumpir.
You're being the whatever Mexican rumpus, right?
Yeah, Spanish. That's basically Spanish saying, "Stop interrupting me! Stop interrupting me!"
Right.
But they have those too, I'm pretty sure.
Again, Flatsoid?
So,
Professor Poisson?
I say in Germany, they actually made a flat earth game because they're trying to make fun of flat earthers.
The game? Do you mean like a televised parlor game with questions, or a board
Actual
game?
game.
A board game?
Virtual game. No, computer game.
Oh, a computer. Who's making that noise in Discord? Arwin or 10th? One of you.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. That was me.
Yeah. Okay. So they made a computer game taking the Mickey out of Flat Earth. I think I've seen a game that I was actually pretending to be in. In other words, somebody had made an animation of a simulation of a game. It might have been a real game, but there was various characters in it. It was like a role-playing game or something like that. And there was all sorts of characters. Me, Anthony, Mark Sargent, Patricia Steer. You know, we were all characters in this role-playing game on a video. This is ages ago, but you can probably still find it on YouTube.
Yeah, but just you see, this is the only way they can actually rebut anything, because in a virtual world, they can say what they want, but in reality, they can't even come to talk to us.
How do we find out in terms of the communities that have got presumably the same circumstances as us?
I guess communication.
Wow, that's all tied down and heavily controlled, and you know that was the case. We'd already be communicating with them, right?
Do you remember that guy from Israel on the beach?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're all over, and until they come and let us know where they are, I mean, we're not going to have an actual count, but they are all over because they're in different languages. When you go to, like I've seen Flat Earth, Germany, Flat Earth, Israel, Flat Earth. So it's growing.
I'm just intrigued because it just seems like it's progressively being normalized. Now, the tone is subtly different now than it was even a year ago. When Black Swan first came out, obviously there was still a certain tone that disseminated its way to us. But only a couple of days ago, Anthony put up a video of something that was on mainstream TV. Now, I don't even have a TV, but things like that still come my way when Anthony trimmed it out and said, here's some guy at a bar in a soap opera talking about conspiracies, and then the person he's talking about it with says, well, you think the Earth's flat? And he says, well, no, I don't really think it's flat. I'm just suspicious about why they don't fly over Antarctica. In other words, so casually dropped in where it wasn't even necessary. You just think, it's being normalized. Why? I wonder why people are being softened up to this.
That's because it's gaining traction on the real front, which is the debates and people talking. We've had two individuals from, acquaintances, let's say from 20 years ago. One is 20 years ago. One is something like maybe 15 years ago. One came through my son, one came through my wife, and they said, hey, can I ask you a question? And my son and my wife both said, yeah. And they said, what do you think of this flat Earth stuff? And they smiled and said, well, then they went into it. So, yeah, now we're being asked about it.
If there was a scale, I'd be looking at how normal it was becoming, as opposed to how many people know about it. Because it just seems like it's like a virus. It's like some parasitic information that's weaseled its way through society at a fairly rapid pace. And now you very rarely come across people who haven't heard of it.
Yeah, they both said that people around them think they're crazy and they don't have too many people to talk to. And they were happy that we were open to it, and that, can we contact 10th Man? Sure, go ahead.
I think we're talking at cross purposes.
Well, it is going to happen, cross purposes. One side hates it and wants to make fun of it or mock it or destroy it. The other side says, hey, all we're asking is good questions, and all you guys do is come back with bad answers.
What I'm talking about, 10th, is 2 or 3 years ago, if you went out and mentioned this subject to somebody, the chances are they'd never have even considered it at all, other than maybe the little bit of rhetoric that goes into ridiculing flat Earth as an old concept in school, or I don't know, Captain Cook story or whatever. But beyond that, they throughout their adult life, if they're adults, they're not going to have given it any consideration. This is 3 years ago. Now that's not true anymore. There's a very, very high probability that if you just go up to somebody and start talking about flat Earth or dropped it into conversation, they'd have heard of it already. Someone else would have mentioned it. They'd know someone who's a flat earther, etc., etc., etc.
Well, that's the good thing, right? It's moving forward, and the more they mock us, in reverse, we're over the target, and they think they're over the target, but we're really over the target because they're talking about it.
I think those people that have heard of it, most of them don't understand the scientific argument that flat earthers make.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
The fear
well,
that
they
people
think,
have, the fear that people have, that I could say I've gauged in my time in this arena, is if they've lied to me about this, what else have they lied to me about? That is an awesome thing when someone realizes that.
Well, when you realize that they can lie about this, you can't help but realize that they can be lying about anything and everything.
And that's where the critical thinking skills come in, or the lack thereof. Oh, you're still a sheep? Why don't you think for yourself? Ask
I
questions.
don't think so. People have got selective reasoning. If they're told by the news that it's flat, they'll accept it because the news has said it, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that they'll decry all news. So, for example, only today, this guy called Professor Poisson started declaring how many people in South America were flat earthers based on a news report. In other words, people will still find their way to the news if there's a bias to be fulfilled. In this case, statistics for flat earthers, right?
Yeah, but you're talking about sheep, metaphorically speaking, for people who aren't critically thinking why the guy's feeding them all this food later because he's going to be meat. It's like,
exactly.
wake up, people.
That would be. That's what I'm saying. It's not a danger that people find out the obvious and observable nature of their reality, i.e., it's flat. The problem for the powers that should not be, if there was to be one, would be people starting to exercise decent cognition, people starting to utilize critical thinking, because then that's a problem. Because then they go, hang on, why are you asking me for this, that, and the other? Why are you restricting me from this, that, and the other? They start asking questions. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
well, they're afraid of that because then you'll know your rights come from the creator, not from government.
I've gone silent because that's a different debate.
Oh, it's very much connected to this because, yeah, as long as the government could be the spokesperson for your paradigm and say these rules, these laws, these conditions, then they rule you. But once you realize all your rights are given by the creator, then it's like government has to fall in step with laws that don't infringe on that. And government hates that. Government wants control. Government wants to be God, small g.
Yeah, that'll agree.
Yeah, most people get their morals from the legal world of what's right and wrong by what's illegal and what's legal.
And where'd the legal world
but
come up?
a lot of people want to accept the cognitive dissonance as a good thing. I mean, I actually spoke to someone this morning that told me they're happy they got cognitive dissonance because then they can live in the world that they live in. Actually accept it. It's like, what?
Telling me somebody said that they would accept the contradictions and the simultaneous holding of both positions, i.e. cognitive dissonance, just in spite of the cognitive pain that does cause, because they want to hold on to a globe. They admitted it in that much detail.
Yep, exactly. Standing me
this?
straight, cognitive dissonance is good for them.
Who is this?
I'll actually send it to you in Master V.
You mean you've got a tape recording of this?
Messaging. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Oh, on messages. Okay. Fair enough. I'm surprised to hear it. I mean, I know people concede a little bit more frequently. I mean, it's like one a year rather than one every 2 years now. I mean, it's really ramping up. Those concessions are coming thick and fast from the Globe believers.
The
Go on.
majority of the ones that I know don't want to talk about it. Again, the majority of people that know me and I know them hear through others. Did you know he believes in the flat earth? And then it's like they want to avoid that topic. When I'm just like, I can care less if you want to talk about it or you want to talk about it. But if you're going to talk about it, then let's talk about it. You know, I don't want to waste my time with someone who doesn't have ears to hear either. I'm not going to force it on anybody. So it's just, they're scared. I mean, now I'm the opposite because I'd say, you actually believe this? And, you know, say it's another subject. I would go to my friends and say, I heard that I would be upfront and right there and say, well, tell me why. Not from a, you know, make fun of them, but tell me why you believe this. What did you see? What happened? I mean, I like to investigate. I'm not worried about what I'm going to find out. I just want to know why people say things or why they believe things. But you got to treat them right. You got to ask questions. You got to, you know, do your research. But if they don't even want to talk about it because it's such a hot potato, flat earth, because if I go there, everyone's going to think I'm crazy. Oh, because of the way that they've designed the system to where anyone who dares question them is crazy.
Yeah, you need it to be told to the masses on a television screen.
Exactly.
Did we finish housekeeping yet?
Yeah, ages ago. The thing is, though, in modern times, it's less about the consensus view that you're told from the television screen or the newspaper, and more about the court of public opinion on social media. Now, don't get me wrong, they obviously have their fingers in the control of the information on social media, but there's still a court of social media that is in existence.
Yep.
So consensus has a way of changing in a way that it didn't before. It had Facebook and Twitter and Bebo and
yeah, this social media is the modern day town hall. Or
that's what I'm saying.
And look what,
as it used to be.
It's exactly that's exactly what I'm saying, Rams.
Right, and so now you see that it got out of hand, and they don't want it to be that open and free, so they shadow ban and they put up, oh, this is hate speech or this, that, you can't run this video when it's not. They're trying to control it now.
I don't see it in that way. I honestly don't see it being controlled beyond the rhetoric just being in place when I've been born. In other words, there's no evil overlord that's implementing this heliocentric deception in my lifetime. And I can't go this far. Maybe I can. I'll just do it anyway. The people who came a generation before me, I think the same could be said of them. They were just born into this deception. Now, you go any further back than that, and you say, yeah, there's probably people who perpetrated this deception at that time. And there's obviously there's exceptions to the rule. Astronauts, you know, notwithstanding astronauts, who are definitely liars. There's no two ways about that. But, you know, beyond that, like I say, it's a different time in terms of how people form their opinions. And, you know, maybe that's why it's having to be slipped into mainstream media in the way that it is, just to normalise the fact that a lot of people are thinking about or know about flat Earth. So if EastEnders are talking about it, it's like, oh, okay, so it is normalised now that people are talking about this. It is something that EastEnders know about, i.e. the soap that dictates my worldview. Doesn't dictate mine, by the way.
Well, they didn't have the internet. They didn't have 24-hour news. They didn't have this big world at their doorstep with an iPhone or an Android, where they're bombarded with events that are true and events that aren't true in order to control, you know, the masses. And so now you bring that into the mix, Instead of a town that went to the grocery store, oops, there was none, so farmers and everybody bartered. Now we've gone to, by the time you get to the grocery store, how many placards on buses have you seen? How many billboards have you seen? What is the radio on? Is there how many commercials? What are they selling all the time? So it's a whole different world that we live in than a few generations ago. And now it's got its upside because we can do shows like this, but it's also got its downside because they could put us all in a corner and say we're crazy and not allow your subscription count to be true or your likes, or they're just scared. They're scared that they can't control it.
But I don't think any of that's true.
Oh, I'm seeing it.
Nah. You have to
I'm
show
saying
me after
my
the
wife
live
got
show.
shadow banned for just posting to a bunch of her woman friends stories.
Just a
It's
person
nonsense.
behind a keyboard that said, I don't want that comment, and then banned you.
No, I'm talking about not. My wife had a little group of ladies that said, "Hey, we like it that you keep sending us these alerts, and I'm too busy raising a child, blah blah blah." And so that little group grew, and then next thing you know, she gets shadow banned. It was what? Who's doing that? Why are they doing that?
Yeah, okay. I'm still skeptical.
Well, it happened, and it's happening, and people are telling me about it, and I've experienced it.
I don't know. When I see my numbers going down, I'm being naive when I say I'd like to trust them. In other words, if I can see a decline, I can react to the statistics and do something about it. Well, I don't know. If they weren't real, then that would be pointless and there wouldn't be an effect after me doing more work, and there is. I can see it. Normally it's in...
No,
it's
you're
just...
right there. I'm not saying you're not going to get a result for something you do, because I remember the time where you had to just crank out these videos and keep it going. So that's going to have an effect. It's not a complete shutdown, and so you offset it by doing more work.
Well, yeah, precisely. It's reactionary. If I see a decline, I'll be like, okay, well, I better do more work. So I have a very consistent view count, but I can only say that because I obviously, by saying it, I'm implying that I trust the statistics. So when I hear people saying, oh, this is that channel's view count or subscriber count and it's changed in this way, that way, or the other way, and it's a conspiracy, I just think, no, there's normally an explanation behind some of these things that you can dig into and find out about that will be easy to explain. And the reason I think that the statistics are true is because there's quite a lot of money involved. So if I take me and the amount I get paid out of the equation and just look at someone that's far more consequential, which is the advertisers, they're going to be demanding the statistics to be accurate if they're handing over money for adverts. And their advert rate is going to be based on the statistics of any given channel being accurate. So if they're inaccurate, and I've got, I don't know, people sometimes claim that there's more people watching than there actually is. And I just say, no, I don't think that's the case. You can gauge how popular it is in terms of live viewers by how many live viewers you've got, not by your assumption that, oh, well, actually there's 200 people watching when I look at the number count now and it's 123. Well, no, that's 123 live viewers. Excellent. Thank you very much, all of you watching live, by the way. Please share the show. But yeah, the point is that I just take that as being the number. Now, I can beg and plead for people to share all day long, but that's not a very good show. But, the people who go around saying, well, no, the numbers are being hidden, there's more, there's 200 watch, I just think that's nonsense.
Well, we had a recent election here, as you know, and the videos that are for the new president are getting so many dislikes that they stopped the share button.
That's not true.
Nathan, right?
See, that's not true.
That's hilarious.
No. That's not true. See, that's an assumption you've made. That's incorrect.
No, they're admitting to it. They shut down the likes. They won't let you even like or dislike anymore.
Yeah, across the
it was
whole
so bad.
platform. No, that's not true. Across the whole
Why
platform.
Why is it not true?
I'm trying to tell you, but I just keep getting rumpused. I know what's going on with the likes and dislikes. They are trialing a system where in time they will only show likes as opposed to dislikes. So currently that system runs on the comments. So if you try and dislike a comment, it'll show the highlighted dislike thumb, but it won't actually register a number. So you only see the amount of likes on the comments. Well, they're trialing that system with certain YouTubers. So on my second channel, for the sake of argument, I can still see likes and dislikes on every single video, both mine and people I watch. Whereas on this channel, on Nathan Oakley 1980, that we're broadcasting on live now, I don't see either on mine or anybody I watch. I don't get to see the likes or dislikes. But that's because the system's currently being fiddled with. But that trial may or may not turn into a YouTube-wide thing. Probably will. But ultimately speaking, it's a bit screwy at the moment. But that doesn't mean that it's because of a specific example you give with a presidential like-dislike ratio not wanting to be shown. That's not the reason. I've also heard it attributed to Amber Heard, who's going through a court case with Johnny Depp currently. And because some of the things that she's putting out wouldn't be liked, that umbrella guy who was reporting on it ascribed the removal of likes and dislikes to that court trial. And you're like, what? You're having me on? You're like, I can understand the knock-on effect as a consequence, but for the fact that the likes and dislikes, all those sorts of arguments would stand. But ascribing it to it like it's causal is, oh my God. And you can do it with anything. You've done it with the president. He did it with bloody Johnny Depp. I mean, I could do it with Flat Earth.
I'm not trying to overgeneralize, though. But you're overgeneralizing here, thinking that it can't happen because it's not happening to you. So I'm saying it's happening, but it's not so happening everywhere to where you can generalize it to be true in every instance. But it is happening, and you can't discount it.
And if I know the reasons and whys and wherefores.
How are they deciding which videos to allow dislikes and likes on or not?
It's going to be all of them potentially across YouTube after the trial, but currently it's just a trial. Anyway,
I don't even know what trial you're talking about. I'm just talking about stuff that I'm seeing on articles and YouTube related. So in the world of deception, not everything is at the same deception rate. Yeah, if you know what I'm saying. So
yeah, I know what you're saying, but I'm trying to say that not everything is going to be part of a deception. There's often other reasons why things occur. And in this instance, I don't think people's attribution of various causes to the likes, dislikes thing on YouTube has any validity. Anyway, with that, I'll say if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the like button, commented, shared, subscribed, maybe joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day! If your thumbs down, then you're racist, kind of thing.
Oh, man.
Everything is positive vibes these days, guys.
Professor Wee, I picked up on you the minute you spoke, and I'm laughing my guts out. And I go, that sounds like Flat Swan in disguise. And then you send me the text, shh, be quiet.
I had to. I was going to blow it.
I enjoyed it. That was great.
And the funny thing is that's actual arguments I get from Glovers. It shows you how dumb the arguments are.
Yeah, Globers come very ill prepared a lot of the time. It surprises me that supposed experts that are very much on the scene a lot that when you try to test them, they always need time to actually gather the materials and learn things, basically. Like they have to rememorize something. Like we don't typically have to do that. They seem to all have to do that every single time. Like even Rumpus, really smart people, they all have to look into their materials again.
Well, that's
Isn't
because
that
they're the
Arlen,
ones that
where-
have a claim to defend.
Go on.
Yeah, you're correct. Not only is it
Yeah,
because they're in a position to actually defend a claim they're making, it's also they're never going to be held to task by their own side for wanting to go and find something out. Whereas obviously the standards aren't the same when we don't know something, even if it's being held up in false dichotomy. We should know, right?
Yeah, and if you
Well, that's
don't, then that's not as good as an idea that we have about it.
Well, isn't that the dilemma? And it's what facilitates their doublespeak, because when they do look into it, it doesn't make any sense. It contradicts, but they got to keep it going. So now they hold both sides of the argument and they doublespeak. So that's the pain that they're going through, because they know that what they're saying doesn't vet out.
And they twist the burden onto you, making it seem as if you're the one making the claim of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, that's just like a painkiller for them.
Yeah, well, you are the one making the claim that I'm making that claim, so it has to be you.
Yeah. Yeah, like if you're challenging their model, their claim, then they accuse us of making a claim in doing that.
Because you do.
But questioning your claims is a claim.
Now you're questioning the evidence.
Eddie, do you even know what a claim is?
What evidence are we questioning?
What claim are we questioning?
No, I want to hear from Ed here. He says they're questioning the evidence, and we're saying show it to us, and you haven't been able to show it to us. So what are we claiming? What are you claiming?
I don't think he even understands what claim means. Because if he would understand what a claim is, he would know it's not us making the claim, it is him.
Is that Mr. 11 Frames talking?
And then it goes to that, because they can't actually rebut an argument.
It is, isn't it?
Oh, is that the evidence of the geometric horizon that you failed to show us?
Format fallacy identification.
The 1.22 frames is missing. Ed. Oh, Ed. 1.22 frames missing, geometric horizon, Black Swan. Do you even know what the argument is? It's your position. Most Stolens is your position.
Where's Rumpus when you need him?
If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959, does that sound like your claim?
No, it sounds like yours, actually.
Ah!
I told you he doesn't know what a
Thank
claim
you for
is.
proving our point.
So
was
kudos to
quick.
10th. What he's done is he's taken Ed to the point where we're making literally the assertion that the Earth's a sphere in modus tollens and asking, how is that us making a claim? It's us asserting your claim. You can't reverse the burden of proof on that modus tollens now, can you? You can try, though, Ed.
I didn't say those words, did I? He did, so it's his claim. Right?
No, wrong. He's not claiming the Earth's sphere radius 3959, Dumbo. You are.
It's not what I said, though.
I don't care what you said. You're a globe believer, therefore you think the Earth's a sphere radius 3959 as stated in modus tollens. So you can't reverse the burden of proof on it. It's an assertion of your claim. It just goes on to be debunked by pointing out that the horizon's beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere 3959 in radius.
Discord muted.
Unless Ed believes something slightly different, then he would have to claim that.
You noticed how they ask
Okay,
if Discord's been muted when they start talking through me? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, he's talking right through you when you're talking, Nathan.
Yeah, he's also
But anyway,
No, I said you can't read my mind, and you didn't seem to notice that, so I thought Discord was muted yet again.
While I was talking.
It never is, Ed.
Let's give Ed an answer.
You
If I'm in the
don't
middle
have
of
a mind
talking,
to
right,
read.
my line is gated. So if you think that in the middle of me talking, the host, that you're going to get through the gate, you're not. But then when I stop talking, immediately I hear you saying, is Discord muted? And what that tells me is you've talked through what I've said. Yeah? In other words, when I'm giving a rebuttal like Rumpus, you guys are cowards, and that's what you're doing now, right? I'm in the middle of talking, and you've decided that mid-sentence, you aren't going to listen, therefore you're going to talk through it. Now, that also means that you're, like now, censoring what I say. Yeah? And bleating about you being muted while you attempt to censor what I say is known as projection.
Just lying about
and he's rumpusing my point. It's called projection. Yeah? Talking through me is Ed, you're censoring the conversation because you don't want to hear it.
Well,
it's
then
a
just
cowardly
mute
move.
Discord like you always do.
Ed, he's not muting anybody. You're talking while he's talking.
Yeah, you're talking right through me, but claiming you're being muted. In other words, the act of you saying, I'm muted, is effectively you censoring me.
Right, the
Then why don't you just mute Discord again like you always do, Nate?
So are you going to go on with this tact indefinitely, are you? While I point out to my audience that while I'm making an argument, a rebuttal, or a summary, you guys will talk straight through the middle of it and then claim that you're being wronged.
No, you were just lying about me. That's why I interrupted.
Should we get back to the claim?
Yeah, that's the point, isn't it? That's the point. That's the reason they do that. Well done. You're getting on the same tracks I'm trying to get back onto, Flatsoid. So there's a claim in play, and when a rebuttal that absolutely annihilates the claim that we're on a sphere Earth comes their way, they will censor it because they're cowards and they know their globe's dead. So they can't hear the rebuttal because then they'd have to respond to it. So they fundy mute it and bleat that they're being censored while they do it. It's absolutely pathetic, Ed.
Right.
It's cowardice and fearful.
Yeah. Telling. It's also projection.
Yeah, it's really cowardice and fearful if you mute Discord while lying about it.
Okay. He doesn't mute Discord, you idiot.
We can hear
Yes, he
you
does.
the entire time.
Sorry, Ed.
You're gaslighting yourself.
Yeah, he's projecting. When he decides that he's going to talk through the rebuttal to an argument, he's saying, are you muting Discord? Because I'm in the mood to interrupt this rebuttal so nobody has to listen to it. Who's off mute? It's Chocolate. Hey, Chocolate.
Yo, oh, I'm sorry.
Classic.
I'm sorry. I'm muted.
Being rumpus by G+. The point is that when there's a rebuttal or a summary, they'll talk through it and cry foul. So they censor it.
Would you mind if I talk to Ed?
Go ahead.
Ed?
It's not a rebuttal, though. You just lied about it. That was the point.
Ed? Who's the one making a claim of a physical curve? The globe side or the flat Earth side?
I'm not claiming anything. He started to talk about a black swan.
That's not what I asked.
Or you did, actually. So that is your claim,
That's
then,
not
is
what
it?
I asked. Is it globe?
No, but that's the answer you're going to get. You talked about the black swan, so that's your claim.
So you can't even answer a simple question.
He has answered you.
So,
hey, hold on. He did. You just got to listen to his answer. He's saying, no, it's your claim. So therefore, what Ed is stating is that 10th man is claiming the Earth is a sphere radius 3959. However, he goes on to point out that the Earth with a radius 3959 would have geometric limitations that are debunked by the Black Swan. So yeah, that is his claim, that the Earth is not a sphere because it's got geometric limitations and they're breached by the Black Swan. So yeah, that is
what the
his
black
claim.
swan says, Nathan.
So Ed fights actually for the flat Earth then. Thank you, Ed.
Is that what the black swan says, though?
That's
actually.
exactly what it says. It says you cannot have a
No, it's
geometric.
not.
It says you cannot have a geometric horizon.
Nathan is
On the
trying
mute
to switch it up
button.
here.
Sorry, what Ed's done is he's asked Flatside what the Black Swan says, and as he's getting the answer, he's decided to censor it.
No,
Right, Ed?
actually, you are trying to give the answer for him. Why are
No,
you so?
Ed, I was trying to talk while you were talking through me.
Ed,
Because Nathan just
never shut
interrupted
up.
you. You didn't say a thing about it.
Actually, I did, Ed. If
No, you didn't.
If you
He
keep,
gave
if you
the
keep,
answer for you.
if you would
He wouldn't
keep
let
quiet,
you
if you would,
answer. He answered.
So meanwhile, the argument is about Earth being a sphere radius 3959 and the Black Swan showing beyond all certitude that the horizon is beyond the geometric limitations of an Earth with a radius 3959. Ed wants to argue about who interrupted who, though, right, Ed? Because that'll censor up this conversation good and proper. Your Earth sphere horizon is debunked because it's geometric and the Black Swan disproves that.
Oh, does it really? What's the claim of the Black Swan? Let's.
If the Earth is a sphere, radius 3959, then every distance to horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. The Black Swan picture demonstrates beyond all certitude that the horizon is beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere. Therefore, the Earth is not a sphere. On screen for my audience now, the Black Swan image, with its horizon beyond the second platform, beyond 10 miles, where at this observer height the geometric limitation Earth curve edge obstruction, if it was real, would be at 1.2 miles. And it isn't. There's nothing but ocean and a horizon beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere Earth claimed with geometry. Yes, it does prove we were not on a sphere, Ed. You don't have to like it.
So on that picture, the horizon is behind the refracted oil platforms. Is that correct?
horizon cannot be
Sorry,
refracted.
yes. Yeah. Oh, yes, and?
Right, so the whole thing is refracted. So it's irrelevant.
So definitely not geometric then, as asserted in your geometric Earth curve maths.
No, your Black Swan is just highly refracted, so it's...
So definitely not geometric then. No tangent's going to be used in this as per your Earth curve mathematics. DOS, twice.
It's refracted, so we can...
Yeah, I heard, and I refuted it. Do you not like my rebuttal, or do you want to reassert your claim? You said refracted. Do you want me to clarify it? You seem to be censoring me, Ed. Seem to be censoring me again, Ed. Project this censorship. Maybe claim I'm muting you. Why censor me? I'll try it again. I'll repeat, censoring me again. Maybe we'll turn this into a conversation. Not about the fact that I have heard what you have claimed, and I will repeat it, hopefully without censorship from you, the Fundy Globe believer. I'll try again nice and calm. I heard you said it's Fundy mute. You said it's refracted. I heard. Then I responded. You don't need to say it's refracted. I heard. You don't need to repeat it 7 more times in lieu of an actual acknowledgement of my rebuttal, which I'll repeat for the 3rd time. If the horizon is refracted as per your most previous claim, then it's not a geometric horizon as per your geometric Earth curve assertions. So it's not Earth curve geometry horizons then.
No, it's highly refracted, so it's not how the...
Not geometric.
It's not how the Earth really looks, because it's refracted. You're right.
Well, welcome to Flat Earth. So when it's asserted that Earth's a sphere with a geometric tangent point Earth curve edge horizon that blocks boats and buildings, that's not how Earth looks. Why are you Fundy muting me, Ed? You're Fundy muting me from Discord. Fundy muting me. Fundy muting me. Maybe censor and then tell me that I'm muting you. You coward. You just rumpus the conclusion, Ed. Why are you scared of the Black Swan conclusion? Why do you have to censor the conclusion? Why are you censoring the conclusion? Mute button from Ed. Ed on the mute button, chanting away. Chant for me, Fundy. Chant, 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 chant. You Fundy coward. That was the conclusion of the Black Swan, ladies and gentlemen. And the coward Globehead had to mute it and censor it. You're censoring me now.
No, actually...
Yeah! What you just did was talk through the conclusion of the Black Swan.
The conclusion of the Black Swan is that not what.
Oh, so you're going to give me the conclusion after censoring mine? No, arsehole. What you'll do is you'll sit here and listen to the conclusion again, tolerate it, and then respond to it. Not reassert your position. And now censor me. Going to censor me indefinitely, Ed, you coward. We all know how scared of the Black Swan.
No,
This is all very telling as he Fundy mutes me. That's right, Ed. I'm going to respond to your claim it's all refracted, and you're going to listen. Or,
yeah, no.
No. Yeah, I know you're a coward. You can't listen because it demolishes your globe faith. So what you can do is try and censor it, right, Ed? And then say that I'm muting you?
No, I'm just...
No, yeah, that's exactly what you're doing, though, Ed.
Taking only...
Yeah, that's what you're doing, though. You're Fundy muting me, Ed.
It's
yeah, that's what you're doing. You're definitely doing that, Ed.
Like... But you're highly censoring my answer and only taking part of it. So again, that's...
You haven't listened to my rebuttal and you've decided that you're going to claim I'm muting your answer when you're censoring my rebuttal that you're not responding to and reasserting your claim again that I've clarified. You've said it's all refracted. You haven't listened to the rebuttal. You've Fundy muted and censored it. Did someone stick him on mute because they couldn't tolerate him constantly Fundy muting?
No, he's actually kept quiet for a second. Can you believe it? It's a miracle.
So, I'll try again. Ed's response is immediately detecting that he's maybe got to listen to the rebuttal. So Fundy mute immediately, right, Ed?
He's going to speak when you speak, Nathan.
Yeah, I know. When the rebuttal for the Black Swan comes their way, all they can do is censor it because they're cowards. They know the globe's dead. So censorship is the last chance saloon of this argument for the globe-believing Fundy. He can't tolerate the rebuttal coming his way. He's literally, before I've even started the rebuttal, interrupting me. What are you going to do, Ed? Interrupt the rebuttal again and then claim you haven't had a chance to answer? You see, you're already interrupting me.
Because you're just sharing your pain. You're not giving any argument.
No, you're not listening. G+, please shut up. Whoever that is. No, I haven't given the rebuttal yet, Ed. You've just changed it into chaos like a rumpus.
Right, then stop sharing.
Yeah, right. So you're not going to listen to the rebuttal, but you've decided to tell me I'm muting you when you're causing chaos. And you're causing chaos during the conclusion. Coward.
You mean the conclusion? That's not what Earth looks like? Because
sorry, you're going to give your conclusion without interruption, are you? When I haven't been given mine, you've interrupted and censored it. So we're going to move on to what your conclusion is, having not had mine and attempted to censor it non-stop. Nah, I'll just try and give my conclusion that you Fundy globe believers are all terrified of, and it needs censorship, right? You've said it's refracted. I'll try for the 4th time. And as an audience, gauge how scared he is of this rebuttal by how many times he interrupts.
That's not my complete answer. No.
Immediately, that's 1. I'll try again. So, in response to your claim it's all refracted, if the horizon is refracted, it's not a geometric tangent point. Now, on screen, I've got your rhetoric from Andrew Thomas Young with what he claims you must have a line of sight to. This point G in the diagram is a geometric horizon, and your maths is based on it. Not only is your maths based on it, Ed, your refraction you're claiming is based on it also, because your refraction's got R in it. So to get your refraction that you're claiming, you're going to need this point called G, a tangent point. And if it's refracted, you haven't got a straight line to get it. Therein lies the death of the globe, because your claim of a globe requires a straight line to the horizon. It's called a tangent to the geometric horizon. You haven't got if it's refracted.
Right, so the Black Swan is not what Earth looks like, because it's...
Yeah, so welcome to Flat Earth. If it's not what it looks like, then it's not going to be using Earth curve geometry to assert the horizon's a physical sphere edge blocking boats and buildings.
Because it's refracted.
Yeah, it's refracted, therefore not geometric Earth curve edge.
Therefore, it's not what Earth really looks like.
That's right. Not a sphere, not Earth curve edge obstruction, not Earth curve geometry, refracted, not geometric, like your Earth curve maths.
Keep flip-flopping.
No, the Black Swan is not what Earth looks like, because it's refracted.
So it's not
It's a photograph.
This is pathetic.
You're telling me that the Black Swan photograph isn't what Earth looks like? It's a photograph of Earth.
No, it's a picture of refraction.
How is that even?
Sorry,
a
you're saying
rebuttal?
that doesn't occur on Earth, so therefore a picture of refraction, something that occurs always in your globe model and is debunked by the Black Swan because it demonstrates that the horizon's beyond the geometric limitations of a sphere. You're saying that because it debunks the Earth as a sphere with a geometric horizon, it's not a picture of Earth anymore. So you're denying reality then. That picture is reality and you're denying it. You reality denier. Globehead reality denial.
Straw man. That's a straw man, actually.
A straw man? You've just told me the Black Swan's not a picture of reality. It's a picture of 2 oil rigs and a horizon with what you claim is refraction, using an R value you can't get if it's refracted because you haven't got a tangent point to derive R.
Yeah, so that's why we got it when things were not so refracted as the Black Swan, because that's a useless picture.
Oh, sorry, so you're telling me that you're going to look for affirmation bias of your sphere belief. Find a horizon that looks like it's geometric.
What do you mean?
I mean, you're looking for confirmation bias then. What I said.
No, we're actually measuring things, and if it's...
Sorry, we're measuring things, so we're not going to measure this one that you say isn't reality. It's not good enough. You're going to find one that does match your globe belief. That's called confirmation bias. Third time.
No, it's just highly refracted. You can see it.
Yeah, that's still the world we live in, though, isn't it? And everything in a globe Earth model is refracted at the rate of 7/6R. So saying it's refracted is meaningless because everything in your globe model is refracted. So what?
Right, but the refraction in the Black Swan is extreme. You can see it in the oil rig.
Sorry, extreme refraction at 7/6, or therefore a different variation of the 7/6 because it's extreme now. Where'd you get the R value from? If you're going to claim more than 7/6R, it's still got R, and that requires a geometric tangent point horizon. So when you say extreme refraction, you still haven't got... You're going to fundy mutant sensor? Haven't finished, Ed. I know this scares you. You're saying it's refraction, and your refraction's got R. Censor me. Coward, bitch, with a globe belief being pummeled by a flat earther. Censor the fact that your refraction's got R. Where'd you get R, Ed?
On days when the refraction wasn't as extreme.
Oh, so we're back to your confirmation bias?
No, we just measure things when it's not highly distorted.
Sorry, refraction is always present on a globe. We've covered this twice, and I've covered the fact that you're looking for confirmation bias 4 times.
No, we're not looking for confirmation bias.
You just go back on a day when it looks more akin to what you claim is a geometric horizon that can never be seen because it's always subject to refraction. That's 3 times for me pointing out that it's always subject to refraction, and 5 times pointing out you haven't got a geometric horizon, Ed. Sorry, you're censoring me again, talking through this, Ed. I'm pointing out how many times I've rebutted this, Ed, and you're just censoring me, talking through me, Ed. Yeah, I'm counting off the times you're ignoring me, Ed. Yeah, you're just censoring me now, Ed. Why are you using the mute button, Ed? Why are you using the mute button, Ed? Ed, why are you using the mute button? Why are you using the mute button, Ed? Ed, mute button. Ed, why are you using it? Why are you muting me, Ed? Ed, you're muting me, you coward. Coward Fundy, muting. Globe Believer has to Fundy mute. Yeah, that's what they do. He's lost. That's where they lose. Maybe claim now I've shut down Discord that I'm muting you. You're fucking right I am because you've lost. And then descended into this, you abject coward who can't get R for his extreme refraction. Where are you going to go now, Ed?
Yeah, we measured that on clearer days. So.
Oh, when you look for your confirmation bias, that's 5 times.
And the measurements suit you.
Yeah, confirmation bias. Can Discord not help him out by joining in the chaos?
We make the measurements.
Yeah, he's decided to send this into chaos and not listen anymore. So I prefer if Discord didn't help him out by joining in. Ed.
But Nathan doesn't.
Ed. Yeah, I've pointed out that when you go back on a different day to try and get it to match your assumption.
Oh, Rams. Now
you're just censoring me now, Ed. I'm going to have to kick you out if you don't stop censoring me and muting me. Please stop muting.
He asked me a
stop
question.
Muting me, please. I've got no choice, audience. He's muting me. Oh, if they only didn't have their mute button, they'd never win anything. But they have to get a perceived win by censoring the argument.
Oh, that's right.
Where'd you get the R for your extreme refraction if you haven't got a tangent point horizon, Ed?
You measure it on clearer days.
That's called confirmation bias, Ed.
No, it's called measuring with less distortion.
There's always distortion on a globe, Ed. It's always subject to terrestrial.
Yeah, I said less.
You see, I'm being
distortion.
censored again, Ed.
So-
You got the mute button. Where would you be without your mute button,
No, I
Ed?
said less.
Where would you be without your mute button? I tell you where. You'd be here with me telling you that you're a coward. Where would you be without your mute button?
It's distortion.
Yeah, the refraction you're claiming, which needs an R value you haven't got, it's always an effect on a globe, so it doesn't mean anything when you say it's subject to refraction, because that's always the case on a globe. That is the 6th time I have said that to refute you, and you keep censoring me when we get to this stage. So, Ed, your refraction's got an R in it, and you can't get it unless you've got a geometric horizon. You're saying the horizon's refracted, therefore not geometric anymore. So, Ed, you can't apply refraction because you haven't got an R value.
Yeah, I do. It's measured on less distorted days.
7 times. That's called confirmation bias. It seems the
No, it's called
horizon...
measuring
Ed,
with less distortion.
Ed. Don't need to mute me. I know you need your mute button.
Called measuring.
You
with
need
less
your mute button,
distortion.
then? Yeah, you definitely need his mute button when I point out that you've got a rubber ruler. You're claiming that the horizon's a geometric tangent point. That would be a physical Earth curve obstruction. And yet you're deciding to come back when it is in a position that suits you. It's supposed to be a physical sphere, Ed. Yeah, it's moving around all over the place. And you're going to pick a day that best suits. It's called confirmation bias. I've said it 7 times, you coward. Every time you've had to censor it. Every time, like now, you've had to censor it and mute me. Good job you got your mute button right, Ed.
You measure on a day with less distortion.
It's always subject to distortion. You keep ignoring my rebuttals.
Distortion.
Yeah, that's refraction.
But it's less, so you can get it.
Sorry, it's at a rate of 7/6 of the radius. I've said that about 5 times. So you need fucking R, you stupid globe-believing fundy. You haven't got R unless you've got a geometric horizon and you're moving it with refraction or distortion or whatever the hell you want to claim in the Black Swan. So you're going to go and get confirmation bias by looking at it a different day. It's supposed to be physically Earth curve.
No.
No, yeah, it is supposed to be Earth curve. Your horizon's Earth curve.
Look at things when they're less distorted.
Why are you muting me all the time? Why is it that this isn't a one-way discussion with you muting everything I say?
Destroying your argument.
You're just muting it and censoring it. You're not listening to it. I've had to say it 6 times, and literally, on, I think, the 7th occasion, it was a continual stream of censorship muting so you didn't have to respond to the fact that you will require R.
No, I responded.
Immediately sensing that I'm going to repeat it for the 8th time, right, Ed? Where would you be without your mute button? Detecting the 8th rendition.
Mute button. That's
yeah,
you.
you're detecting the 8th rendition, Ed. I'm going to say it an 8th time and see if you can actually cope with the fact that when you apply...
All right, go ahead.
No, you can't. Immediate censorship. They need the mute button, ladies and gentlemen. It's just projection. When they go on and on and on about how I mute them, it's because they're censoring me. And when I say, well, fuck that, this is my show, eventually I will shut down the line if I'm not being able to be heard at all, then they're successfully censoring me. But in this instance, I'm going to make it damn sure the audience can hear what's actually going on with Ed muting me constantly. Censoring prick. Scared of the Black Swan, aren't you now, Ed? Because you'd need an R value and a geometric horizon to apply. And there it is again, 9th censorship, mute button, Ed. Coward bitch. How do my balls taste? 9 censorships.
So
9 times you've had to censor me, man. My God, it must be painful to be a baller right now. Me, I am smug as fuck. I know how fucked you are. You need an R value to say refraction. You can't get it. Because it's on screen. It's been on screen the whole time. This line between G and O is a geometric tangent point for an assertion that Earth curve edge gets in the way of things. That's what you've got. This is Earth curve. And you're telling me now it's not how the world looks. That picture of the world. Because the horizon's over here at H. Non-tangent point based. And how has it got here? Well, we've used the R value. Coincidentally, the same thing we used to get the point G that we're saying it's not anymore. It's not a tangent point. It's bent. So no geometry then. And round we go with the pain of the globy, coming through in overt censorship and muting. Because Ed can't cope with this. He can't cope with me pointing out that he needs R to say refraction, and he can't get it anymore, because he hasn't got a tangent point horizon anymore. His argument that it's not a geometric horizon, it's refracted, screws his geometry assertion of Earth curve. Bye-bye, globe. Censorship ensues. Taste them, Ed. Taste them.
Tell us
Are you
again how
done?
you go back on another day.
Is that what you got for
Go
me?
ahead.
Am I done? Yeah, done teabagging the fuck out of the globe. And in this instance, you. And point out how pathetic it's descended to now that you have to censor me when I give 10 renditions of the fact that to claim extreme refraction at a rate that's devised from R, you're going to need R. And where you getting R? Well, it's on screen for my audience. It's between O and G. Why is it dotted? Well, because it doesn't exist. The geometric horizon doesn't exist. And that's where you're getting R for your assertion of refraction, Ed. So we're going to need a lot of censorship because it's causing you pain. Am I done? Yeah, done teabagging you, my friend. Maybe spawn a new life and go round in this circle again.
You can measure it on a clear day, but you're...
What, when you go for your confirmation bias you've ignored 7 times? Yeah, so on a different day, the horizon, which is claimed to be a physical Earth curve obstruction, is somehow in a different position? Well, that doesn't sound like it's a hill getting in the way of things. Sounds like it moves with the weather, Ed.
I thought you couldn't
No, it's
measure
just
it with
less
an atmosphere.
thing, actually.
Not
How
a
could you
physical
ever
thing.
measure it?
So not blocking boats and buildings then.
Yeah, it is.
How can it block things if it's not physical?
But it is physical.
You just said it wasn't. My God, this is painful.
Wow.
No wonder he had to censor me, because this is what it comes down to. Now we've got to the conclusion. The horizon is physical, says Ed. We point out that no, how can it block things if it's non-physical? Well, it's non-physical, Ed. You just said 2 seconds ago it wasn't physical. So which is it? Well, I'll tell you. It's cognitive dissonance, ladies and gentlemen, because for Ed, depending on the situation, it's both physical and non-physical. And when I point out to Ed that he needs the physical horizon to be able to refract it in the Black Swan image, he hasn't got the physical horizon anymore. So Ed goes into meltdown. It's physical, it's non-physical, it's physical, it's non-physical. He goes into meltdown. That's what cognitive dissonance is. For Ed, it's a big problem because he's got to qualify what the horizon is. Sometimes it's physical when he's getting an R value, and sometimes it's refracted when he's looking at a black swan that apparently isn't reality. That's cognitive dissonance, and it's going to need censorship when I point that out and give the argument. Can't have 2 horizons, one giving you R, to refract it to a non-horizon that isn't the R value horizon anymore. That's nonsense.
If it's a refracted image, it's still a refraction of a physical thing, but it's just...
But not a tangent.
Not really what it
But not a
looks like.
tangent, Ed. But not a tangent to get R.
No.
But not a tangent, Ed.
Did you listen to
But
the
maybe
full answer,
ignore me,
Nathan?
Ed. Maybe ignore me indefinitely when I point out the rebuttal that you've ignored 10 times. That's right. So if it's not a straight line to it, refracted,
Right,
you can't
did,
get
you?
a
You're
tangent.
not responding
Censorship, Ed. So why are you censoring me?
now. Exactly.
Why are you censoring me?
No, you censored me, actually. You got a...
No, you're the one talking through me and then projecting that censorship straight onto me. Like your interruption of the 11th rendition of the fact that you need a geometric physical tangent point horizon to get R to refract it to a non-tangent point refracted position. You have to censor that and then claim I'm muting you because I want to be heard when I deliver the death blow of the globe that you think it's all right to censor and then claim I'm muting you. No, I'm going to be heard when I point out the death nail of the globe, which is to say you haven't got 2 horizons. One to give you R, physical tangent point horizon, and then the horizon we see which isn't based on that one, therefore can't give you R.
You cut off my full answer, so you're not listening.
The way they just project
You're
non-stop.
pathetic.
You haven't got two horizons to give you R to refract the horizon, Ed.
You did.
Yeah, you censored it immediately. I tried to make it more concise. You censored it immediately. You're not listening to me, Ed. Demonstrated by the constant 11 interruptions and censorship attempts when I deliver the rebuttal to you and you don't listen because you censor it and then claim I'm muting you.
Because you are muting me.
What, when you interrupt the fact that you can't acquire a tangent point horizon from a physical tangent point with a straight line, if you're claiming it's got a bent line to it, you can't get R. That's where you get R, from the geometric horizon. And you're saying it's refracted. So you haven't got R to refract it with, Ed.
Sure you do. You can measure it on clear space.
So confirmation bias, Ed. Rubber ruler.
No, just
Tangent point horizon, it's not then. It moves with the weather then, Ed.
If it was physical, you wouldn't have to go out on another day. It would just be where it is, man. What the hell's wrong with you?
yeah. So again, why
Sound crazy?
wouldn't you measure when there's less distortion?
Because, pay attention, pin back your ears. I've said this 5 times. According to your globe model, there is always terrestrial refraction because light is claimed to always be bending around a sphere. Therefore, to say, I'll come back when there isn't any refraction is nonsense because there is, on a globe model, always refraction. So what are you going to do? Come back when there's less 7/6 R? Because that's always being applied, Ed.
Yeah, so you can do land surveying and measure it that way.
Sorry, Ed, you can't get a geometric horizon to get R. Because there's always refraction. That was my rebuttal. You seem to have
What did I
ignored it.
just say,
And
Nate?
now you
You
seem
can
to
do
be
land
censoring me and
surveying,
talking
get
through me
it that
mute
way.
button time. Where would you be without your mute button? I'll try again. I've just pointed out,
Oh, you're
Ed,
ignoring my answer, actually. That's the whole problem.
I've ignored it that you ignored me.
It's like talking to a wall.
Yeah, he ignores me and then projects the fact that he's ignored the response and rebuttal while he tried to censor it, of course.
Into a wall. Well said, Rams.
Yeah, now he's going to talk to the person that's... Don't, Rams, that doesn't help. Yeah, I know it's like talking to a brick wall, but when the brick wall hears a diversion, he's going to take that over me, pointing out that he hasn't got a geometric tangent point horizon to get R.
No, I said
to
you can
refer-
do
you see,
land
censorship
surveying, but you
ensues.
didn't listen.
Coward, fundy bitch. Mute button. Tell me I'm muting you, Ed.
Carry
Go
your
on.
pain.
Tell me I'm muting
Carry your
you.
pain, Nathan.
Tell me, bitch.
Yeah,
Tell me I'm
what
muting
what
you,
was
bitch.
my answer, Nathan?
Tell me I'm muting you, bitch.
Yeah, what was the answer I gave?
So you were muting and censoring me, bitch.
Repeat my answer.
No, you were muting and censoring me, bitch.
Repeat my answer, Nate.
You suck my balls, bitch.
So I know you listen.
Suck my balls, bitch. You are the one censoring me. The fact that you feel it necessary to project that censorship straight back onto me when I annihilate your claim of 2 horizons, one to get R and one to refract R, and then you say when I can't get R because I haven't got a geometric tangent point horizon, I'm going to come back on a different day to measure the horizon because it'll have hopefully moved into a different position even though it's supposed to be a physical, fixed, geometric limitation at 3959. Yeah, it's not because 7/6R always applies, but every time I point this out, I get censored by you so you don't have to respond to it.
You can do land surveying and get the R that way, so that's no problem.
Go on, how'd you get it from a land survey?
Measuring the land. Holy shit, dude.
I get unicorns from unicorn surveys. Well, what's a unicorn survey? Surveying a unicorn?
No, I said land. So
Yeah, I said unicorn. Yeah, surveying unicorns, yeah.
Earth is a unicorn?
Sorry, what precisely, in the name of holy fuck, do you survey to get R?
The land.
The unicorn! So you basically saying, because of the land, I've got R.
Wait, are you saying Earth is a unicorn?
Am I saying burden of proof reversal fallacy immediately? No, I'm not saying anything, dipshit. You're saying I get R from land surveys. I say, where'd you get it? You say, from the fucking land. You are as useless as a nun's vagina.
No, you can measure the land with land surveying and get it that way.
How?
So why is that a
dick.
problem?
Don't tell me again your baseless generalization assertion that you can get R from the land survey. Tell me how.
Yeah, we don't live on a unicorn.
No, that's not telling me how you get R from a land survey. You're a useless twat.
Right, so again, we don't live on a unicorn.
So I don't want to know about not living on a unicorn. I'm saying that to claim unicorns are real and then say I get them from... My proof of unicorns is unicorn surveys. And I say, well, what does a unicorn survey involve? And I say surveying unicorns. You say you get R from a land survey. I say, what does that involve? You say surveying land. That doesn't prove where you got R from, you stupid bonehead.
But you can measure it though, so yeah.
Oh, and how'd you do that?
Is.
How? How'd you get R from a land survey? Take us through it. Same question.
By measuring the fucking land.
Get out. Get out. So you don't have anything then, stupid idiot. That's what we're dealing with, idiots.
I can send you an instruction video. If you
Tell me what it does to get R. Or say I don't know.
I'll get an I'll get a surveying 101 video for you.
Sorry, you just need to tell me what they do to get R.
There's actually a guy called a main survey.
Don't give a shit. Tell me what they did to get R. Don't care.
So you can watch his channel. Yeah.
I can get you, the one making the claim, to tell us what they did to get R.
They measured the land.
You're an
idiot.
Useless.
How many times do I have to say it?
Yeah, that doesn't tell us how they got R.
It actually does.
Oh, well, we're all done here, ladies and gentlemen. Ed has proven R. Land surveys, ladies and gentlemen. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. Because, obviously, I just need to say land survey. And that is it. R is proven. What you mean, you incompetent dick, is you don't know. You're just making this crap up.
No, I'm not.
How did they get
actually widely available on the internet.
Oh, so what you're saying is land surveyors get R, and if I want to find out how, I could look it up on the internet.
Post a wiki page for you in the live.
Oh, me? No, it's not my claim. Another burden of proof reversal fallacy attempt. I don't need to go and look up your claim, my friend.
When you make a claim, you gotta
wanna
back
learn
it up, Ed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ed.
you do actually.
Yeah, you got to back your claim, not make me go and Google search it for you.
Yeah,
you
I
stupid
can
idiot.
actually. I can show you a lot of links about it. So there it is.
Ed, no.
Yeah, I can.
Your time's done. Fuck off. Get out. You're a dick. That's what it boils down to with Ed in every instance. It will always revert to a burden of proof reversal fallacy. He'll make up some shit and then demand when you challenge him to prove his claim that you're making his claim and you should go and prove it for him. That's all he's got.
How are they so comfortable with saying, now we just go back and measure it a different day when there's less refraction? Are they dumb?
Well, there's two answers to that. One, never less refraction, always applicable with a rate of R derived from a geometric horizon. I put that to him 12 times, I believe. No is the answer. Hand wave will come back on a different day. Well, that's confirmation bias. If it's moving, obviously it's not a physical tangent point. It's moving. No, it's just subject to less refraction. Round and round we go. The bottom line is, to get R, to claim refraction, they need a tangent point horizon, and I haven't got one. And the very purpose of their argument is to move the horizon into a non-geometric location. And then say, yeah, but when I want to get R to move it in this manner, I'll come back when it looks more like my model. This moving target that's obviously an Earth curve edge obstruction, clearly blocking stuff with its physicality. It's certain, right? As it moves up and down with the bloody weather. There, it's the end of the globe, man. It's descended into farce.
I think it's been there for a while, though. Quite a while.
Bundy muting, man, coupled with total projection the entire time. Every time he censored me, he claimed I was muting him. What a scumbag.
Yeah, he could be our next prime minister.
Well, here's how you know he knows nothing. He had the stupidity to say, I don't even have a mute button. Oh my God. So he's not even paying attention.
Playing dumb when they know damn well that talking through the conclusion, summary, or rebuttal to any argument is censoring it and muting it. They know damn well what the Fundy mute button is. But that's all they've got. You know, that's what it descends to if you're on the end of a losing argument. You've got to play debate tactics. Discredit your opponent's platform. It's not even a debating platform when I'm getting pummeled.
It only works on the internet, though, because when you behave like that in front of people in the real world, there's a great likelihood you're gonna get some punches here and there.
I don't know. I don't think people descend to that so quickly. We assume that out there that's what happens, but no, I don't think it does. That's not what the world's like. Most people are actually far more tempered and moderate when they're in real circumstances with people face to face, even if it's someone that's wronged them.
True, but I'm just saying, like, I'm basically backing it up. Like, if they act like that in front of somebody, then they'd have to be, like, really out of it. They'd probably be treated like a lunatic. Or
Right.
if they wouldn't stop, then they get punched in the face. But
yeah, there's a
it's
certain
the
type of
internet that makes it so easy.
yeah, there's a certain type of asshole that will do that in natural conversation. You'll be mid-sentence and they'll just start talking through the middle of your statement or sentence. Here, they don't give a crap. That's just a debating tactic. Why not? If I don't want to hear or respond to this rebuttal, summary, or claim, then I'll talk through it. Then I don't have to. And then I can reassert the same thing that was being responded to and claim foul because they're not answering me when the answer's been interrupted and censored. It's like, these are the tactics the Globe use. We don't have to use those tactics. It's not like we're interrupting really concise Globe claims that back up the Globe in a way that we couldn't debunk. It's not like it's 2014 and we're all suddenly referencing azimuthal equidistant projections and scratching our heads over why flights don't work on them. It's like, that isn't the circumstance anymore. And if that was the circumstance and we were, every time somebody said, well, what about a flight from Santiago, and we were blah, 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 through the top of them, do you think that would be considered fair? Reasonable? And then after doing it, going, why are you muting me? You haven't responded to my question. You know what I mean?
That actually just happened on 24/7. A guy came on and said his friends got him in a gotcha because they showed him a flight that only takes, I think, 30 hours to go from Chile to Australia, 15 hours or something, and it's way too short.
Too short,
So,
too
like,
long. Well,
yeah,
who says how
like,
long it should or
shouldn't be
shouldn't?
that quick.
Yeah. Immediately into a false dichotomy, reification fallacy times 2. So this is your azimuthal equidistant projection of the Earth. Is it? Says who? Where did this come from? What'd you say it is again? A globe projection? That's my map, is it? Yeah, and I'm going to burn it right now. Okay.
Yeah, I told him, I said, listen, you got them in a gotcha. Did they even take the flight? I understand all that other stuff, but did they even take the flight themselves? But that's what I was saying, as opposed to what? Your sphere Earth?
It's a false dichotomy. That's the 2015 onward, maybe up to 2018, 19. They always try to tie Flat Earther to a model and say, this is your model, this is how you say the Earth works, now explain this. Now look how it works on my model. My model wins, therefore Earth's a sphere. Till you ask him about any uncomfortable detail, like, how do we stay on the sphere? Why aren't we flying off the sphere if it's spinning around in a
Yeah,
sky vacuum?
that was one of them. But that's what I was saying. Like, I feel like I'm back in 2015. It was actually on Ladies' Night. I think these questions come out on Ladies' Night for some reason. You know, you get the Gem Pandas that come out, and then these stupid 2014, 2015 arguments.
Yeah, the fundies on the globe side want to remain in 2015 in terms of their argumentation. And they absolutely hate it here. Yeah, if they had their way, they'd be saying, look, we've got pictures from space. And that died a long time ago, didn't it? Pictures from space claims.
I was just going to say, I haven't heard that in a long time. Pictures from space.
Well,
I think
maybe
they know better now.
Maybe that's the thing we should be assessing, because so many people are indifferent to the claims that we have space at all. That's far more prevalent than people having a good understanding of the nature of the reality of the plane we stand upon. When people talk about a lot of the things that NASA talk about, Chocolate, you talk about this a lot, right? When you're discussing things like the Mars landing, people are like, yeah, I don't know about that nonsense. So skepticism towards space might be more prevalent than flat Earth.
Whose face?
Who's what?
Sorry, I just came back to the computer.
I think it's only me, Nathan, and Owen. Is everybody gone?
Yeah, it's really
Probably.
fun. And Nathan kind of blew them away, probably.
Yeah, that's
with
my
the
fault. I'm not
ruthlessness
going to
of the
blame anyone, Arwin.
non-snatch.
No, I know, it's totally my fault. I totally hogged Ed. But, you know, he's only going to try and use you guys on the panel to try and run distractions on his behalf. If you joined in. And everyone can't blame him if they go, well, sod this, I'll just disappear. I'm not needed.
Right. Oh, the problem with Ed is you can't really get him to some kind of critical mass like you could with Rumpus. You know, he is like a ragdoll troll that you can just punch forever and he'll never stop. Like, never. He's maniacal like that. So I would have kind of advised, like, maybe you should have just kicked him out a little sooner. Because now he's drug everything along.
Well, no, because I did get something useful. The point that I saw there was no further use for him, let's just say, was the point that he declared that the horizon's physical and then the horizon's not physical. In other words, it's a succinct summary of cognitive dissonance, which is what they're all suffering. Because then there's the reason, right? Why is the guy doing what he's doing? Well, that's the reason, because he's suffering from cognitive dissonance. He needs a physical and a non-physical horizon.
Right. But all he did was just try to avoid the subject. Basically trying to interrupt your spell casting, because if you had the full room to make that conclusion, then the spell in his mind would have been dispelled. So he was constantly trying to interrupt that.
Yeah, chant through it. That's why we call it chanting. Right, I'm going to round out. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, or becoming a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Also, below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video. lovely day.